Hello friends, welcome to the YouTube channel Support for Education, and in this video we are going to do the long and short question answers of the chapter in celebration of being alive. Friends, please note that in this video we have done only the long and short question answers of this chapter. So if you want to read the chapter along with us, the link is in the description box in which we had read and explained the chapter in Punjabi. So let us start the question answers. The first one is, according to Dr. Bernard, what is the business of living? Dr. Bernard is of the opinion that the business of living is a celebration of being alive. By the word celebration, he means to enjoy life in whatever form or shape we find it. What do the people with brave and positive attitude teach us? People with positive attitude in life defy pain and agony and become an example for others. They teach us to move forward and enjoy every moment of life in spite of physical suffering. In which incident were Dr. Bernard's gloomy thoughts rooted? Dr. Bernard's gloomy thoughts were rooted in an accident in which he and his wife were hit by a car, got badly injured and hospitalized. What was Dr. Bernard's father's attitude towards life? Dr. Bernard's father believed that everything happens at God's will. He thought that by making us suffer, God tested us. According to him, the suffering ennobled the human beings and made them better persons. What introduced Dr. Bernard to the suffering of the children? He was introduced to the suffering of children when he came to know that his brother had died of an abnormal heart disease many years ago. Why couldn't Bernard's brother survive? Dr. Bernard's brother could not survive because he was born with an abnormal heart and no surgical treatment was available to him. Why did Dr. Bernard consider the suffering of children heartbreaking? The children suffering from various diseases have their total trust in doctors and nurses. They believe that these people are going to help them. If they are not cured, they accept their fate. They go through mutilating surgeries and even then they don't complain. What made the driver and the mechanic choose their roles? The mechanic was totally blind. He provided motor force to move the trolley. So the mechanic's role suited him. The driver's one arm was amputated. He could see and could steer the trolley through one arm. It was how two handicapped boys choose their roles. तो दोस्तों ऐसे के short question answers ते हुण असी करांगे long question answers. What was the lesson Dr. Bernard learned from the two brave youngsters? Two handicapped boys who were admitted in the hospital took away the breakfast trolley and pushed it. The mechanic was totally blind and driver had only one arm. They provided a lot of entertainment to people by driving trolley. Dr. Bernard witnessed all that happened. The two boys gave Dr. Bernard a lesson in getting on with the business of living. The business of living is the joy in the real sense of the word. In fact, the business of life is a celebration of being alive. He learned that one becomes a better person because one had experienced suffering. He learned that we can't appreciate light if we have not known darkness, nor can we appreciate warmth if we have never suffered cold. These children showed to Dr. Bernard that it is not what you have lost that's important. What is important is what you have been left with. In the hospital, Dr. Bernard experienced not only agony and fear but also anger. How? Dr. Bernard and his wife met with an accident while crossing a road. They were admitted in the hospital. There he experienced not only agony and fear but also anger. He could not understand why he and his wife had to suffer. He had 11 broken ribs and a perforated lung. His wife had a badly fractured shoulder. He asked himself again and again why this should happen to them. His patients were waiting for him to operate on him. His wife had to take care of the baby. It was the reason for his anger. Write in detail about Dr. Bernard's brother's suffering. Dr. Bernard had his first introduction to the suffering of children when he was little boy. One day his father showed him a half-eaten moldy biscuit with two tiny tooth marks in it. He told him about his brother who had died several years ago. His father told him about the suffering of that child who had been born with an abnormal heart. If he had been born in present times, probably someone would have corrected his heart problem. But during those times, sophisticated heart surgery was not available. The moldy biscuit was the last biscuit his brother has eaten before his death. What an eye-opener for Dr. Bernard at Cape Town's Red Cross Children's Hospital. Explain. Dr. Christian Bernard had not been able to form a clear-cut view regarding suffering till he witnessed an incident at Cape Town's Red Cross Children's Hospital. He called it Grand Prix, one of the series of important international races for racing cars and motorcycles. He was missing something basic about suffering. That incident opened his eyes. One morning, a nurse had left a breakfast trolley unattended. Two young boys who were the indoor patients started pushing it. They took up the roles of the mechanic and the driver. The mechanic was totally blind and the driver had only one arm. The mechanic provided motor power by galloping along behind the trolley. The driver steered it. They put on quite a good show. तो दोस्तों इस तो अगला क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट डिड द ड्राइवर एंड द मैकेनिक पुट एन एंटरटेनिंग शो विद एन अनअटेंडेड ट्रॉली। तो इसका भी जो आंसर है फोर्थ क्वेश्चन विच है वन मॉर्निंग तो लैके क्वाइट अ गुड शो तक। तो ओवर आंसर आप सारे लिख सकते हो। वट मेड द मैकेनिक लूज हिज आइज। द मैकेनिक वॉज 7 years old when he was badly injured. One night both his mother and father were drunk. His mother threw a lantern at his father. She missed the target and lantern broke over child's head and shoulders. He suffered severe third-degree burns on upper part of his body and lost both his eyes. How did Dr. Bernard correct his notion about suffering? Dr. Bernard had been looking at suffering from the wrong end. He had realized that one did not become a better person because one had been suffering. One becomes a better person because he has experienced suffering. We can't appreciate light if we have not known darkness, nor can we appreciate warmth if we have never suffered cold. The two children, the mechanic and the driver, showed to him that it was not what one has lost that is important. What is important is what you have been left with. The two children gave him a profound lesson that the business of living is a celebration of being alive. तो दोस्तों हमारा मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, राइट अ नोट ऑन द थीम ऑफ द चैप्टर इन सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ बीइंग अलाइव. In Celebration of Being Alive is written by Dr. Christian Bernard. The chapter is based on the idea that pleasure and pain are part and parcel of human life. The writer and his wife met with an accident and he felt agony, fear and anger. One day the doctor had witnessed what he called Grand Prix. The two young boys started pushing the breakfast trolley. They took up the roles of driver and mechanic. The mechanic was totally blind and driver had only one arm. They put up quite a good show. They were enjoying their life despite their sufferings. The writer learnt an important lesson from them that the business of living is the celebration of being alive. We should move forward in life rather than complain and cry. We should not be sad over what we have lost. We must be happy with what we have been left with.